Welcome back, everybody. Starting a riot. Sailor Sam and J Train, we're back. Playing some Motion City soundtrack for you. Hey, what's up, Sam? Playing some Motion City.
Favorite.
I've actually never heard them before.
Let me tell you, they just played their last. I got to see them for the last time a couple weeks ago with Julie, and I cried my eyes out right before that song came on. That song came on. I still was crying, but it's such a badass song.
It's pretty cool. It's actually, it's probably the first Motion City soundtrack song that I've heard. You're introducing me to all this punk stuff.
That makes me so sad that it's the first one, but I'm glad to get them into your repertoire a little bit at least.
The punk band I was like thinking of. I was like, maybe I can play some Green Day, but you didn't like them. But I was also thinking like the Misfits, and I was like, that's not really Sam's punk.
That's. I mean, I've listened to the Misfits, but they're not. Yeah, they're a little bit harder and more hardcore than my typical pop pop punk.
I love Glenn Danzig sexually.
I was not expecting you to say that.
I'm all in on that guy, dude. Like, I love his aesthetic. I love everything. Like, if you told me, hey Jason, we're gonna be playing some Glenn Danzig, but say no more. Just do it. Just play it. I love it. I love the black, the white, the evil kind of undertones, everything about it, man. Just yeah.
That is too funny.
Actually, there's like this video you can actually hear Glenn Danzig like going to the supermarket. He's like, Tostino pizza rolls.
That's a good.
Fruity Pebbles.
Wow.
But anyway, so what can you tell me of Motion City soundtrack?
They were a pop punk band out of Minnesota, I want to say.
Minnesota.
And I want to say that that's where they're from, and watch me be like really wrong, but they're from the Midwest basically. And my first experience with them was on a Punk-O-Rama, like Volume 8, and it was Capital H, I believe, was the first song I ever heard from them. And then I bought their first album, and The Future Freaks Me Out was like my anthem for some reason for most of my like high school like life. And they are one of those bands that in their lyrics they are really relatable to people who have like who feel like misfits, who feel like they don't belong, and like every album seems to come out with a song that sort of is the anthem of my moment. And actually I have one of their songs, the title of it tattooed on my leg. It says, "Even if it kills me." And that song is sort of about powering through all the crap life throws at you, and like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna live this, I'm gonna live my life, I'm gonna do what I love, even if it kills me. And that's like a really powerful thing, even today, like with the things I've gone through, like, I'm in kidney failure, blah, 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 like it sucks, but like, I will get through this. Like, I will stand strong and continue living life, even if like I end up dying because of doing so, like powering through. And they're my heroes, and I'm really sad that they're calling it quits for now. Like, it's just sort of crappy, sort of shitty, but they've been a real inspiration to me. And I should tell our listeners, like, if you're going to check out a couple songs, check out The Future Freaks Me Out, which we just played a bit of. Check out Even If It Kills Me, and check out a song called Point of Extinction. Point of Extinction is probably like right up there with Even If It Kills Me. There's a line in the song that says, "With all my dreams hooked to hospital machines, I think let's try redefining beautiful." And I had Let's Try Redefining Beautiful on my wall for years. And then I went into kidney failure, and that song took on a whole new thing for me. So
right,
it's just
absolutely, yeah,
it's incredible. So
thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Were they part of the Sam Music Golden Era?
Yes, they were.
What is it? It's 2003 to 2006.
Yep, and that's 2000. Their breakthrough and success was 2003 to 2006. Actually, I'm on their Wikipedia page right now, and that was like when they were really, really like successful. And they've never been like a radio band. You've never heard them on the radio unless you are really lucky and have like a really cool underground like alternative station near you. But like, you're not going to hear them on DC 101 and stations like that. But I have stayed faithful, and I've loved everything they've done with the exception of the final album they did, and you kind of hear in it that it was time for them to maybe call it, because that last album was just not on par with their other stuff, in my opinion.
Well, if it's not Red Hot Chili Peppers or lukewarm alternative rock, it's not going to be on DC 101.
Well, that's true. But like I'm just saying they're not. I mean, Michael said he's heard even Taking Back Sunday on DC 101 before in the past. So I mean, it is possible to hear bands I like on DC 101, but it's just not very often that happens.
Yeah, well, that it's cool that they had such an impact on you, and I mean, I guess that them breaking up makes you kind of appreciate them even more. I mean, it's kind of like Sonata Arctica, like they completely changed their sound, so it's almost like they broke up, right? And I mean, they're losing members every couple of years or whatever to the point where like there's only like 2 members from when I started listening to them, and you know, listening to their old stuff kind of transports me back to a specific time, and that it kind of makes me, I guess, feel a certain way. But it sucks that there's like no new stuff, but it's good to hold on to those memories.
Yeah, it is. And like with Motion City, like if I'm ever feeling like I need to get kicked in the ass and get myself going, they have a few songs that really like they make me want to get up. Like if I'm in that rut and I need to like get myself out of it, there's a song called The Weekends, and he basically says he's going to fight back against the pouring rain. And like I feel that, like there's so many songs like that where I just, if I need whatever mood I'm in, if I'm needing motivation of some kind, generally I can find it in one of their songs, and I can find the encouragement to keep going and move on from whatever it is I'm facing at that moment. So
right. That's awesome.
They're such a good band. I am incredibly sad to lose them, and I'm so incredibly glad I got to meet them. And I mean, I've met them before, but I actually got to spend a little bit of time with them and show them my tattoo. And
how did they react when they saw your tattoo?
they thought it was cool. They were like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like I actually have a picture because I was getting my picture taken at the time, and so I have a picture of them all looking at my leg, which was kind of cool.
Pretty awesome, checking you out.
Yep, checking me out. There's some really nice guys, and I think Justin Pierre really has a voice in his writing for those of us who feel like we don't always fit in and don't always belong to the mainstream or to just this world in general. Like we don't feel like we fit in anywhere. And he really has brought a voice to that. And he's brought a voice for people who have like a lot of anxiety and disorders and things like that. Like he's really brought a voice to that. And I think that's incredible. So
that is incredible. And speaking of the whole bringing you back kind of music thing and everything like that, nostalgia we know now sells a lot. And one thing that has proved that more than anything, and I've talked about on another podcast, is Pokemon Go. And I don't want every podcast I do to be about Pokemon Go, but kind of wanted to bring it up because I'm sure you can kind of give your own perspective on it. We won't really, I guess, touch on the same thing that I talked about for like a half hour with my other friend Colin. And if you want to check out that podcast, you can check it out on iTunes by like looking at the library, or by, if you're on YouTube, just kind of going back into the library. There's also a podcast playlist. But Pokemon Go, what are your thoughts, Sam? What are your thoughts, and how do you feel about this game?
I absolutely love it. Like number one, I'm a girl.
Yeah, so I mean, you give your girl's perspective on it.
And I know this is probably the most cliched thing I could say. I think most of the Pokemon are like adorable.
Yeah, no, they're so supposed cute. To be.
And they bring, like, it does. I recently watched all of season 1 of Indigo League, so the first season of Pokemon, because I watched it a little bit with my brother, and I liked it, and I played Pokemon, like the card game and stuff, when I was a kid, and I had my favorite Pokemon, and that's sort of like what drew me. And I was like, ooh, I could catch an Eevee, and Eevee is my like all-time favorite Pokemon. Not evolved Eevee, just regular old Eevee. She's my favorite.
Do you ever evolve it into anything?
I have. I actually have a really huge Flareon, and I have a pretty decent sized Jolteon, and I have like 3 or 4 just regular Eevees because I can't have enough Eevee because I'm pathetic. But in fact, for my birthday, before this game ever came out, actually for my birthday, Michael had bought me. Wow, did you hear that? Michael had purchased for me the Jolteon Evolutions, or not the Jolteon, the Pokemon Evolution. So it's
Evolutions.
Eevee, Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon. It's like button pack that I have now because he knows I'm a total nerd. So this game came out, and I was like, I'm gonna play it. And I started playing on vacation, which was really cool because I was up in Connecticut and there's Pokestops everywhere, and it was just really fun. But it's great because I get out and I walk. Michael and I get out at night and we walk. We've met new people, which is kind of cool, like walking around doing their Pokemon thing too. Hey, have you caught anything good? No, I'm still looking. I'm looking for this. Oh yeah, I'm looking for that too. We should find it. Like it's just and the people our age is the funniest thing is it's not like young kids. I mean, there are probably a lot of young kids playing it, but it's like we're meeting people our age. And I just think that it's great. It's a great way to get out and about and
Well, that's a question I have for you. Do you think it will resonate with people who are younger? Because here's what I think Nintendo's biggest problem is, and again, I touched on this in the previous podcast. They're getting carried by our generation because we were probably the ones most affected by it because we were young at that time, and we were so into those titles that we're so into nostalgia that we will carry Pokemon. Now, do you think that it resonates with, say, 10-year-olds today? Pokemon Go.
I don't think so. And I think maybe if the 10-year-old, or I'd even say like probably 4 and up, like if you have a parent who's into it that's our age, then yes, you're probably going to get into it. But if you are a 10-year-old with either younger or an older parent, you're maybe not going to be as interested because you don't really know what it is, because the new Pokemon is really geared for like little kids, like 2 and 3-year-old children, and they're not going to be on a phone playing this game. They're just not. That's not what's going
Right.
to happen. So like I think
But don't underestimate kids nowadays because I'm sure they're like 7-year-old kids with cell phones.
yeah, and there probably are, but if they don't know what Pokemon is, I mean, unless they like hear about it from other kids, which I mean that could work, I guess, but I don't know. I have a harder time. I don't know. It seems like it really is our age group that's powering it.
So what
And
can they
that's,
do? What can Nintendo do to get new generation involved?
I mean, if I were Nintendo, I would probably start adding Pokemon from this generation's Pokemon. Whether or
Hmm.
not you or I appreciate those Pokemon, like there are probably a generation of small children who like Pokemon XY or whatever it's called, or whatever the newest ones are that look like they're made with like 3D animation, and I can't stand any part of that because like please take the time and actually, you know, draw things, because how lazy can you be? Um,
Yeah.
I'm so terrible. I just don't like. I like older fashioned animation, and I guess that's because that's what I grew
Oh,
up with.
yeah. No, to me, anime nowadays, the like kind of computerized, clean look of it, I hate it.
It's not Hey Arnold and Rocko's Modern Life and even Rugrats. We watched the Rugrats movie not that long ago,
Oh
and I'm like,
man, like the old anime, like Yu Yu Hakusho, Rurouni Kenshin, Cowboy Bebop. Like you can tell it's aged, but I love the way it looks like drawn and everything. You know, like
Sailor
Dragon Ball
Moon.
Z, Sailor Moon, all of these, Trigun, all of them.
I don't like the new Sailor Moon. I don't
There's a
like
new
it as
Sailor
much. It
Moon.
looks so the Sailor Moon Crystal, and it's basically reanimating. It's reanimating the original like storyline just in the newer animation style, and it's
Hmm.
too sparkly.
Yeah, I
Like
hate
I
it.
don't know how else to describe it. It's
No
just
character.
sparkly.
Has no character, right? It feels artificial.
Yeah, it's sparkly, and I'm not bothered by that. I'd rather watch my DVDs over and over again.
Yeah, no, we
So
just now you're a huge Star Trek fan too, right?
yes, sir. I grew up with it with my daddy. In fact,
I,
I've met William Shatner,
I
George
was there with you.
Takei. Yeah, you met Shatner with me, George Takei. And I recently met Walter Krogan or Coing. I don't know how to say his last name. He played the original Chekhov,
Oh, cool.
and I got his autograph from my daddy. So
Now, what was your thought on meeting William Shatner?
Shatner is um I mean, okay,
Yeah,
he's not
yeah,
a nasty person to his
right.
fans, but it is very in and out. Like you're like, hey, high five, signature, leave. Like there
Yep,
is no
yep.
like you don't feel like you're getting to know him or getting to talk to him. Like when I met George Takei, his husband talked to my friend Judith and I for, God, like 30 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, like he just stood there and talked to us while we were waiting in line. And he even was like, because George Takei doesn't often always personalize autographs when he does them.
Hmm.
And he's like, well, if anybody gives you any trouble, if they're not doing it right now, tell them I said to do it for you because this is for your dad and I want him to be able to have that. Like, just incredibly nice people. Like, but with William Shatner, you don't get any sense of, like, you feel like he's just doing it because that's what he does. It doesn't feel
Collecting
like
the
he's doing
paycheck.
it because he loves it, you know?
Yeah, I remember after I met him with you, right? Like, first off, he wouldn't like shake my hand, which I don't know, maybe because he's older, he doesn't want to get germs. Because at that age, if you get germs, it could be lights out, I guess. But I just remember just going up and I was just like, "Hey, what's up, Mr. Shatner?" Because I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm not. Like, I don't like seeing William Shatner. To some people, would be like
It's really cool.
it'd be like
It's
meeting
just a really
God.
like nostalgic thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it'd be like because to some people, Shatner is like the guy, you know, and they're like, "Oh my God, he's God," you know. And I just remember going up to him and I was just like, "Hey, Mr. Shatner," and I held out my hand. He just like kind of like gave me a smirk and instead gave like a fist bump. Didn't even want to say anything to me. And I was like, "All right," and I just walked away. And that's fine for me because I didn't pay anything. I didn't do anything. But he was like charging like what $400 for like a VIP experience or something like that.
Yeah, there's a VIP experience, but that entails a little bit more than just the
But how
signature. Like,
much more fun? $400 more?
no, I feel like the only person I've ever seen a VIP experience that it's worth the money that you pay, even though he's kind of a douchebag in real life, is Jason David Frank does a VIP experience for like $75, and you and like 45 other people get to do a private Q&A with him, do a photo op with him, get a signature, get to meet him. Like, that's worth it. But when you're paying $400, you're literally getting one of the terrible photo ops. It's not even the one that like where you have someone else take it, which I think those turn out better. It's one of the ones where you're posed
Mm-hmm.
and then you get the signature and meet him, and you probably get to sit up front for like a giant hall Q&A, but it's not like you're getting to sit up front for like a regular thing, like a small intimate Q&A.
Yeah, but I just remember afterwards I went to work and there was a guy who was a huge Star Trek fan. And I was trying to explain to him, I was like, dude, it might not be worth it for you to meet Shatner. And he's just like, what do you mean? Blah, blah, blah. And this is what I tell people about conventions. This is what I've learned at conventions. You have to be very careful and you have to contemplate to yourself whether or not you actually want to meet your heroes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but like, because because to some people, right, it's very hard. It would be very hard to come to the realization that A, they're normal human beings, and B, they don't care who you are.
And it's not just that. I mean, it can be heartbreaking because sometimes they do have attitudes because of
Mm-hmm.
whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. It may not even have anything to do with you. I was one of the first celebrities I ever went to a convention to meet was Carrie Elway. I have worshipped Carrie Elway since I was a little kid when I watched The Princess Bride. Like, he's a hero, and I met him. He was a douchebag. He wasn't
Yeah.
nice. He had
What do you do?
sunglasses on. It was the worst photo op. It was just awful. It wasn't worth the $50 or $70 or whatever it was I paid to do it. It was not worth it for me at all.
What did he do? What was so bad about it?
He was just like, I wanted to do a pose where, like, because it said on the little like sign that you could ask to stand a certain way, and they were running a little bit behind, but it wasn't like I asked for anything crazy. I just wanted Carrie to be on one side and Michael to be on the other, and I wanted to be between them. And he's like, no, we can't do that. You need to stand here, and he'll stand there, and I'm in the middle. And I'm like, all right,
Oh, right.
whatever makes you happy. Like, he seemed like he had either been drinking too much the night before or partying too hard because he had sunglasses on. He just had a horrible, horrible like attitude. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
I
just
mean,
wasn't cool.
yeah. So to people out there who you say, hey, I want to meet this celebrity or whatever, like, be careful because, again, you might not be able to handle the fact that they don't care about you. Like, they don't. Like, I mean, like, they played a character and they understand how it's been, and some people like love their fans and everything. That's true. But you as an individual, they will not. They don't think of you like even half as much as like you think of them. Like life changing, for example. Um, if somebody changed your life because of something that they did, I mean, they just it's just difficult. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gamble because there have been times when I've met people that I really wanted to meet and thought, "Oh my God, you were one of the best people I've ever met, and I'm so glad that I met you." So, I mean, it just depends. James Marsters from Buffy, he played Spike, one of the
Yeah,
nicest people you'll ever meet. Like he was just
yeah, I met
absolutely
him.
fantastic.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty
He's
cool.
wonderful.
But I was like telling my friend, I said Shatner, he mows through people because he's just so used to his entire life. He's Captain Kirk, and to his credit, I'm sure that it's nonstop. People trying to talk to him, get a hold of him, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it
And
is.
and so after a while, especially at his age, it just becomes tiring, you
But
know?
at a certain point though, you have to weigh the am I being because you are this icon. You know that going into what you're doing. So like you need to weigh that as the person doing it too. Like am I still able to do this and give my fans what they deserve? Because face it, these celebrities would not be where they are if it weren't for their fans. And
Exactly.
they do need to appreciate that. And if you can't appreciate that, then don't do it anymore. Don't go out and do signings. Don't do
Don't
that.
collect the paycheck. Yeah, don't feed off of other people's money. We
Yeah,
want to see you. Yeah, I agree with that. I probably agree with that. Now, okay, so you're a huge Star Trek fan. Did you see the recent movie?
I saw it this morning with my daddy for his birthday.
And I saw it last night. And what were your thoughts of it?
I loved it. I'm like I said, I've watched Next Gen with my dad since I was tiny, and I watched a lot of the original Star Trek with him too. And like I love it, and I appreciate so much that they took the time to honor Leonard Nimoy in the
Yeah, they
original
did.
cast the way
Yeah,
that they
right.
did. It
Mm-hmm.
was beautiful. It made me cry. I know I'm a girl and I'm a sissy, and I also cried at the end when it said for Anton because Anton Yelchin, who plays Chekhov in this movie,
Oh, did it
recently
really?
died.
Because my
Yeah,
because my friends and I said that we were surprised that it didn't happen.
it's
When did they do it?
it was after like the first little few sets of like names of like the director and stuff like that. The first one said in loving memory of Leonard Nimoy, and then the next thing said like the next flash said for Anton, and
Mm-hmm.
I broke down. Like at that point, I was sobbing because I didn't realize how many movies I've seen Anton Yelchin in number one, and I loved Leonard Nimoy. Like if I had picked one actor, it would have been between Leonard Nimoy and George Takei, and I would have probably leaned a little bit more towards Leonard Nimoy, just because he's so iconic and he did such a good job in the first Star Trek movie, the first new one,
Mm-hmm.
in general. But I thought that they honored the original cast and Leonard Nimoy just beautifully. That picture at the end, it was a gorgeous tribute, and it was a gorgeous like love note to the fans. I felt like because
Yeah.
you you don't have to see the other ones to see this one. It can be an entirely standalone movie, but there were notes of the other movies, so it just felt like it was a very well done movie to me, and I enjoyed all of it. The only thing I would say is that I wish they had done more of the original like alien species on that base. Like I wish you had seen some more Vulcans and like Romulans and Klingons and things like that, but you didn't see those, which was sort of disappointing. And I
Oh yeah,
also
you're right. I haven't seen any I haven't really seen any
no
Klingons in this series. In
series, no.
this.
And the other thing that they did that I thought was really, in my opinion, I think George Takei has spoken out against it a little bit. I don't think he was as flattered, but what they did with the Sulu character in this movie is they actually made him gay. I don't know if you noticed that, but he had a male lover, and they had a little girl in the scene in the space station thing.
Yeah, I saw the girl. Like there was a guy there.
Yeah, it was him and his like it was I would assume like partner or husband or
Oh,
whatever.
I
And I
didn't even
thought that
notice
that
that.
was a really sweet touch and tribute to George Takei and all the things that George Takei has done for the LGBTQ community. I thought that that was really cool,
But
in
he
my
wasn't like
opinion.
as flattered, was he?
I don't think he was. I haven't read the article, but again, one of my friends was telling me that he had posted a blog post about how he wasn't exactly thrilled about it. I mean, that may have been because he was very adamant when they started doing these movies to stay true to the original Sulu character, and that's a deviation
Yeah.
from where it was in the original series, as far as we know. So, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really well done movie.
To me, I feel like there were like a lot of holes in the movie. There were some parts of it, or there were some aspects of it where I was like, this doesn't make too much sense. And the villain was pretty cool, but there wasn't like a lot explained about him. That was just like kind of my take. Like I didn't hate the movie, but there were parts about it where I'm like, why is this done this way or whatever. For example, I don't think we're ever really fully, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. And if there's spoilers, there might be spoilers here, so you might want to, I guess, click ahead if you don't want this spoiled or anything. But they didn't really explain the villain, like how he got there and how he's still like 100 some years old and how he got.
Yes, they did. They explained
Did
it.
like how did they? But how? Like what?
So they say that his ship got there through like a wormhole. They didn't definitively say that, but that was hinted at that it had gotten there through like a wormhole because that was one of the first ships to go out and explore in space. And that's probably how it ended up on that planet. And they ended up on a planet with this technology where the life forms had left, but they had left like robots and technology behind. And part of the technology that they left behind was able to help him basically, like, that's how when he was killing those people, he was taking their life force, and it was changing the way he looked and his personality and things like that. He had basically been on the planet for so long that he felt abandoned by Starfleet, yeah.
Yeah,
And
Starfleet.
I was making sure I said that. I was like, did I do something wrong? Because I could totally. I mean, I like Star Trek, but I'm not by any means like a Trekkie or anything like that. And that the technology he was able to basically, it seemed like to me, it was hinted at that he basically killed his crew to live, to avenge them, is what it ended up sounding like, because they were all dead and he was the only one left.
So why did he look the way that he did?
That the technology that he was using that was pulling life forces out of other people and putting it into him, like, affected the way his body looked. I mean, he was taking life forces not only from other humans but other aliens and things like that, and that's going to affect.
And was the technology in him, or was it
No,
like?
it was like technology that was left on the planet by the previous inhabitants that were no longer there.
Okay, and how did he get like thousands upon thousands of people in his army and star in like those spaceships and everything?
It seemed like by using the technology to crash other ships and bring them down, and then like working those other people over to his side, is what it seemed like to me. Like he was manipulating. He had taken other crews prior to the Enterprise crew, because there were other people there. So that would be, to me, how he probably did that, in my opinion. I mean, it wasn't explicitly
Very
explained,
well explained. It was not very well explained.
but they did explain how he was alive still, and how
How
them
he was
that
alive.
worked.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, it explained. Crawl was his name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, explain kind of like why Crawl was still alive, I guess. Um, and then like another thing, like, I didn't like the Beastie Boys bit. You
Oh,
know,
but that tied back to the first movie. I thought that was great because the song was Sabotage and they were sabotaging them. And that's a song that Kirk is playing really loud in the car that he has stolen from his uncle in the first movie. So it was a really good tie-in, because this may be the last one. I'm not sure that it will be, but it's possible that it could be the last one. It was a really nice tie-in, if you've seen the first one, to the first one. It was
yeah,
a
but
very Kirk thing. It was very, very Kirk.
sure, but it just seems so gimmicky to me. Like the whole, we're gonna play sabotage and we're sabotage, and it's gonna be on a frequency that makes them all either blow up or crash into each other. It wasn't really
It
explained.
disrupted
Their flight
their
patterns. Yeah.
because they were talking to each other. They weren't able to hear each other, so they crashed into each other because they weren't able to connect anymore.
Okay. And I don't know. It just it
You
seems
have to be
very
really nerdy and look at everything that they say, because they really do try to explain most of the things for the most part. Like, there is some, like, this is a movie, so woo, just believe this. But like, for the most
I
part, I feel
think
like
that
they do a fairly good job.
no,
In
I
this
think
movie.
that's what a lot of it was in Star Trek. This movie as well is no exception. It's just you have to just tell yourself it's a movie, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, and it's like Brawl just forgot that his Enterprise was there, and that maybe they were like kind of, or not his Enterprise, but his you know um ship was like stranded, and maybe they might be there. He decided never to check back on it ever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it was a movie that was like entertaining. And I'm not trying to like crap on it, but it's just it might be forgettable to me, and I'm sure if you're a Star Trek fan, you might disagree
I think
or whatever.
that a really big Star Trek fan would. My dad is a huge, huge Star Trek fan, and he liked it. He really did. He really liked it.
Another movie that you saw was Ghostbusters,
Yep.
and I have not seen that. What are your thoughts on it? Because it's a
Okay.
very controversial movie right now, huh?
Yeah, it is. Okay. The pros. You do have a female-led cast, and you have some really good female characters in that cast. You have females being weird and themselves, and that's wonderful to see in a movie for essentially for girls.
Do you agree or disagree that there's an agenda there?
I
Because
don't
that
think
because
there's an
that
agenda. I
because
think.
that's the big. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Oh
like
no.
the big I guess stink around this is that a lot of people who I see arguing against this movie, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. Um, the biggest I guess gripe about this movie is that they want to push some sort of like, hey, here's the all female, crew, crime fighting, ghost hunting crew, and we're gonna use Ghostbusters, a very beloved franchise, to I guess show this whole girl power thing, and then through the movie, kind of taking. I don't know if they do or not, but apparently there are like some parts where like
Look,
they make the guys look like a.
if you're a misogynistic dick, then you're gonna have issues with it because
Okay.
you have to be two things. You have to be a diehard Ghostbusters fan and a misogynist, and then you're gonna have issues with it. If you're a huge Ghostbusters fan, then you're not going to have such a harsh opinion. I think the only people who have that harsh opinion are those misogynists, and you're not going to change their opinion no matter what. If it's an all-female cast, it doesn't matter what franchise it is. They're going to say the same
Hmm.
god-forsaken thing. Sorry, they're just fucking morons, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter that they're always going to have an opinion. If they don't like women in leads, then they feel that way about every female-led movie. It's not just this one.
Okay.
You can take issue with it as a Ghostbusters fan. I feel like that they did overdo some of the like there was a movie before this. There was a movie before this. And if they hadn't done that so much, it would have been a better movie. And if they had taken that out, you would have been able to develop some of the characters better, which I think would have improved the movie as well.
Oh, so you're saying they did way too many callbacks to the.
Yeah, they were going, oh, there was another movie before this. There was another movie before. I felt like they were jabbing you in the side with it pretty
Okay.
frequently. And like, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters but I saw like the Bill Murray thing was absolutely there was no point to that cameo. The Eddie Hudson cameo was funny, but again, not necessarily necessary. Same with all the cameos that were in that movie. They were whatever, but you only need one or two. You didn't need six or seven, however many there were, because you
Hmm.
had cameos from Slimer, you had cameos from just about everybody from the original, and that's not necessary. This movie could have been its own thing without those, you know, those
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And
You're saying that they should have had, I guess, the confidence to start their own franchise.
yeah,
Okay. Now
and it
how?
would have been fine.
Okay. Now how was now based on just a pure movie standpoint? What did you think of it? And was it good? Was it bad? Do you recommend people see it and go to the theaters to watch it, or?
First caveat, Chris Hemsworth is very funny, but there were points where they may have made him too stupid.
Yeah.
But
So.
I would say that they did that because this movie is not for my age group. This movie is for kids. This is
Okay.
not intended to be an adult movie. Some of the fart humor and things like that are in it was intended for children. It was not intended for my age group, or you know, people older than me really too. That I don't think like that was for what this was for. I feel like it was more of a kids movie because it wasn't scary. It did have stupid humor in it, and it was easy to follow. And I think that is part of what makes a kids movie is it needs to have humor that they can understand and a pace that they can follow because it wasn't that long of a movie. I mean, I guess it was long, but it felt fast paced. I mean, it just felt like a kids movie. It wasn't a bad movie, and if you like Ghostbusters but you're worried about seeing it with females, get it on Redbox. Wait until it comes out and don't spend as much money in the theater. If you're all amped up for it, by all means, go see it in the theater. It's fine. It's not a bad movie. It's just not maybe something that I would have seen in theaters, except that there was another person who wanted to see it, and I was excited to do something together, and it didn't look terrible, so I wasn't like, I didn't not want to see it in theaters. It was fine.
Hmm.
Like, you're better off waiting till it comes like out on DVD where you can get it for $20 and like watch it as many times as you want, or wait until it comes out on like Redbox and get it for like $1. Like,
Would you see a sequel?
um, probably would watch it like on Redbox or something. I don't think I'd go to the theaters for it.
Okay.
Mostly because I feel like, so there's some backstory to this, and I don't think this is a spoiler. So if you
But
want to fast,
spoiler alert, if you know,
if
if
you
you don't want to
don't
be,
want to know anything at all about the backstory, so I listened to a couple different things and I read around, and from what I understand, they originally had written the part that was played by Leslie Jones, the loud black character.
Mhm.
They had originally written that part for Melissa McCarthy, and was going to give Leslie Jones another part. And Melissa McCarthy's like, no, I don't want to do this. I've already done characters like that. I want to do something different. So they gave her the Abby role, which is the you know who Melissa McCarthy is.
Yeah, right.
So they essentially ended up rewriting the script to give the Abby role more screen time because it was Melissa McCarthy and they're paying her more money because she's a bigger star than Leslie Jones.
Right.
So I think that affected the script because I don't think they intended to give that much screen time to Abby, and I think that was one of the more, like, they could have switched Abby, and I don't remember what the other character's name was, but the one that was played by Kristen Wiig, they could have switched those two characters, and like, because they didn't have any character, like they weren't developed as fully as they needed to be worth seeing in a sequel. Like, I don't care that much about any of them to see it, to like go to the movie theaters for a sequel. Like, it wasn't that good. It's not worth seeing, just not worth paying the $15 or whatever it is you have to pay to go see a movie anymore.
Yeah, I also want to know what's your opinion on the Fall Out Boy Ghostbusters.
Oh, fuck that
thing?
song. That song came on, I'm like, you've got me. I knew about it. I'm like, fuck that shit. What the fuck? Why? What? Ugh. I don't. Even Julie, y'all met Julie last week on the podcast. She's a huge Fall Out Boy fan, and she even says the song is a piece of shit. So, I mean, that may not have been her exact wording, Julie. I'm sorry. That probably wasn't your exact wording, but you did admit it's not a good song. I think it's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit.
They're doing their Fall Out Boy thing. Ghostbusters.
And it's got like a Missy Elliott rap or something, and I'm just like, I can't.
Did you hear it for the first time in the movie?
I had yeah, I think that may have been the first time I'm really quick to change the radio when I think it's Fall Out Boy. I went on a road trip to Atlanta and I fell asleep in the car, and twice that song, you know what, the You Did in the Dark song or whatever came on, and
Okay.
Michael said I cried out in my sleep to make it stop. I was like, no, like, I cried out in my sleep over Fall. Like, no. It's just not.
So if I told you you had to listen to an hour loop of that song or a Nickelback version, which one would you listen to?
Neither. I'd shoot myself.
All right. Well, okay. So everyone, make sure you watch this Ghostbusters movie when it comes out on Netflix, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, give it a chance. Like, if you are adamant against it, you're not going to watch it anyway. What I say is not going to affect your opinion. But if you are curious, it's a decent movie. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to blow your mind, but you'll laugh a couple of times probably. There's a couple of stupid jokes. I think at one point Chris Hemsworth is looking at the fish tank and he goes, a fish tank's like a submarine for fish. And it's kind of true. And it was kind of funny.
No, I don't think it's.
I think it was funny. And he's like,
a fish tank is a submarine for fish. You don't put water inside the submarine, Sam.
No, but we go into the water with a submarine. They come onto the land with a fish tank.
Wouldn't being on site? Oh, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Like, the way he said it, his delivery and everything will make you laugh. It was funny. Awesome. He plays stupid really well. It's like he plays the pretty stupid thing really well.
So do you need alcohol to enjoy this movie?
Oh, that'll make it so much better. But I mean, alcohol can make anything funny that's not funny.
Would it make a Fall Out Boy Ghostbusters theme?
No, nothing can make that better. No.
All right. Well, hey, we've been talking for a while now, and but before we go, you're telling me, like, we kind of got started a little late, but you were telling me that you were trying to book your honeymoon, and you've decided on
Disney World / Universal Studios.
Are you going to like Harry Potter World or anything?
Oh, hell yeah, Harry Potter World all the way. I'm going to buy a wand and I'm going to be like a total Harry Potter nerd. In fact, when I was in Connecticut, I got my very own Deathly Hallows necklace. So
that means nothing to me.
The Deathly Hallows is the triangle with the circle and the line that you see everywhere when it's Harry Potter related. You see that thing everywhere.
I have no idea what you're talking
Have you
about.
not seen Harry Potter? Have you not read Harry Potter?
I've seen like the first 3 or 4 movies.
All right, Jason.
uh,
All right.
I thought you were gonna say something.
You have homework. You have
Okay.
homework for our next episode.
I don't want to look up any Harry Potter. You know
You're
me
gonna
with
read
I struggle with
the
English
first
heroes and
book.
stuff. No, I'm not gonna do it.
You need to read the first book.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I'm not reading the first book.
You need to read the first book.
I don't need to.
I felt the same way. I did. And my damn fiance converted me, and I read all of them, and I read them all very quickly, and it was a wonderful, magical, fantastic adventure, and you are missing out if you don't read the book.
I think I'd rather stab my eyeballs with 9-inch nails.
You know what, Jason?
But anyway, so you're going to Orlando.
Yes, that's the plan at this point.
What went into choosing your honeymoon destination?
Well, there's a couple factors. Number one, originally we wanted to go to like England.
Oh,
I don't know. Cool. I don't know if anybody who listens to us follows politics. I follow politics quite a bit.
Are you going to talk about the Brexit?
The Brexit happened, and England is a very unstable, unhappy place right now because of that. Because I think a lot of the people who voted for it did not know what they were voting for.
Or no, I think what the issue was, like most of the people who came out to vote were like the older, angry demographic. It wasn't necessarily representative of the entire sample.
The Trump demographic.
So like what it, and I think that kind of tells people, if you care about your politics, if you care about the position you're in, go out and vote, you know.
Well, there was proof on Google, like Google came out with, you know, they do different like surveys of what's happening on Google, and directly after the Brexit was voted for, people were going on who had voted, searching what does the EU do, what did I do? Like they didn't even know what they were voting for. And so there's a lot of instability in England and in Europe right now, especially. I don't know if, like I said, if anybody follows the news, but there was also another shooting recently in Germany, and there's just a lot of instability. Europe is at a place right now at a crossroads with how they're dealing with terrorism and things like that. And I didn't feel, and I don't think Michael felt comfortable traveling abroad until some of these things calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that's sort of what they want, is for you not to travel, but I have enough problems. Plus, traveling abroad with having to do dialysis would be kind of a hassle.
Oh yeah.
So those factors combined, it wasn't just because of the instability, but it was like the combination of the things that just made it feel like now is not the right time. Maybe once I get my kidney transplant, that's something we can do to celebrate getting a kidney transplant.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with you guys.
It'll be, I really want to, I have family in England, and I've been to London. I've been to Bedford, England, and London, England. When I was 16, I got to go over there, and I loved it. It was beautiful, and I want Michael to get to experience that with me. But just right now, it's not the right time. It's really expensive, and Michael and I want to do things around this country too. And we sort of had a couple of things up in the air, but we settled for Disney in Orlando because I don't like California. I've been, LA is a shithole, and I don't want to go back.
California love.
I would go to like San Diego or San Francisco, but there's not as much to do. But if you go to Orlando, there's Disney World, there's SeaWorld, there's Universal. There's just a bunch to do. So we weighed our options. Chicago and Seattle were on the list. New York is always on my list, but
You'd probably actually, from what I hear about the Northwest, especially like Portland, Seattle, you probably would have liked that.
I know, I'd love it. I can't wait to go. In fact, he has an aunt in Seattle, so at some point we will go. But for our honeymoon, we decided that it would be fun to go to Harry Potter World and get to see that, since we're both kind of Harry Potter nerds. And like, I'm hoping, I know he's not really into it, but I'm hoping I can convince him to let me go to SeaWorld for a day. I know it's not a great place. They have all their issues, but like, if I can like pet a dolphin, I'm all in. I have dreams of swimming with dolphins. Like, I am all in. Give me some dolphins. Like, I'm there. So I think it'll be fun. I think it's a nerdy thing to do, and Michael and I are very nerdy. So plus, like, maybe I can get dressed up as like Cinderella or something for a day.
Hey, why would you want to be a princess? Why don't you want to be one of like the evil ones? That's who I'd want to be.
I mean, I love like Ursula or whatever, but like I don't know. I think I would want to be Belle, honestly. Like I'd want to be dressed up like
Oh,
Belle.
I like Belle. Belle's really awesome.
I just said Cinderella because that's the first thing like popped in my head, but I think I'd prefer Belle. Like I would get dressed up like Belle. That'd be cool.
Wait, why don't you dress up as he can dress up as Jack Skellington and you can dress up as what's the other guy's name?
Sally.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do that for Halloween anytime or really whatever, but like I'm not gonna go out and buy a Belle dress. Like I'm not gonna spend that much money. Like I can get a Sally dress from like Torrid for like $50. A full on like Belle dress or a princess dress would be like hundreds of dollars, and I'm not spending that much money.
Right.
Sorry, I'm not just not doing it.
Well, all
But I
right,
will
Sam.
see Jack Skellington. Like you will bet your bottom dollar, like it's gonna be right around Halloween. I will be taking my picture with Jack
Oh,
Skellington.
that's right. They're probably gonna have Halloween themes and everything.
Yes, it's gonna be the Haunted Mansion will probably be Halloween themed by then. It's gonna be the best.
Awesome. Well, hey Sam, thanks again for joining me for another episode of this podcast.
Hell yeah. And your
Um,
homework, our fellow beautiful listeners, is to go out and listen to a Motion City soundtrack song because it'll brighten your day. It
and then
really will.
immediately listen to Black and Death Metal.
If you want, you can check me out. I do have an official Facebook page for my photography now, which I'm pretty darn proud of. You can go to facebook.com/Sam Riot Photography. And you can check out all of my awesome pictures that I did for Jake Meekmos's recent CD release. He just released a CD on Saturday, so check that out and give him a listen and give me a like over there on my photography page because I might want to do that, as a thing. So,
That'd be pretty cool. Photography makes a lot of money nowadays, it seems.
well, I'm not in it for the money. I mean, I legit.
Don't lie. Don't lie to our listeners, Sam.
I I do like, and if you're out there and you're listening and you're someone who needs some pictures done, like hit me up. I'm not charging anything at the moment. It's at Sam X Riot Photo is what it is. So.
And then you can friend me on Instagram at jtrain1224. You can also check out, if you're not listening to this on YouTube, youtube.com/Nataku, NATAKU1224. It's an old channel, so that's why that name's kind of different. And then also be sure to look up the J Train Show, starting a Riot, this podcast on iTunes. And you should find it logged up. I need to put everything on there, but I'm currently in the process of trying to figure out where I can kind of get some sort of subscription service to where I can post, the entire library of stuff that I'm doing. And Sam doesn't know anything about this as well, but there may be another show on the horizon with another host as well to add to my network. So,
Well, I won't say anything, but me and that Julie girl, we might be trying to start a girl talk type podcast. Like we might be in talks.
It's a J Train appreciation podcast, right? Like every week you just talk about the things going on in the world of J Train.
Yes, we're just trying to get you hooked up with some chick. That's the whole podcast. Is just trying to get you a girlfriend. Just trying to get you a lady.
You're too funny. All right, guys, have a great night, and Sam, thanks again for joining me.
Yep. Bye.
Peace.